Morning, everybody. Good morning. I am at Purser Hulsey Park. First time I've been out here. I was told I need to go to different paths, not just Stevens Creek every time, so here we go. This one seems interesting though. It says, go across the Merry Meadow and enter the woods of pine. There, the enchanted forest you will find. So I'm guessing this is the Merry Meadow. They have what looks to be a farm, or at least a vegetable collection that you can schedule to come out here and I guess pick some veggies or whatever. There's a sign on here, no pets. Visitors must be accompanied by a plot owner. So okay, but anyway, maybe you can buy a plot out here and just grow it. Come and collect your stuff. Seems pretty cool. It is about 35 degrees out today, so it's a little chilly, but anyway, come check out this trail and talk about some stuff in the news and some other, interesting stuff, and whatever we get into. We'll see what this trail's like. But yeah, I just watched a news story about a guy in Ohio, I think, was out. I guess he owns a bunch of zebras, and well, anyway, the zebras came, or one of them attacked him and bit his arm, and I guess almost bit it clean off and stomped on him a little bit, and his friend ran and chased it away with a stick, and the police showed up, had to unfortunately put down the zebra because it was just too aggressive. I don't know if it was in heat or I have no idea, to be honest. I've never really heard about aggressive zebra before, but I guess it could be just like any other horse. And then in San Antonio, or can't quite remember where, but another guy at the zoo was this is the enchanted forest, by the way. Guy at a zoo, cleaner, in the middle of the night was out cleaning, and well, anyway, I guess he decided to pet one of the tigers in the cages, and of course, you know how that went. Tiger got a hold of him, and anyway, it was an endangered species. Maybe all tigers are endangered, I'm not sure, but anyway, police came, and the tiger still had this man's arm. They didn't know what to do, so they shot and killed the tiger. I hope that the man, whoever that guy was, faces charges for killing an endangered animal. Not the police officer, but the guy who, stuck his hand in there like an idiot. I don't understand people's ignorance when it comes to wild animals. It blows my mind. Why on earth would you ever even get close to a tiger? Whether it's trained, I don't care if it's eaten a whole horse before, you mess with it. Nope. No way. So there's some crazy lean-tos over here. Go check them out. I feel like I'm gonna get kidnapped out here and never seen from again. Especially because it's so early in the morning. Huh, interesting. I guess that's part of the enchantment of the forest. this is a good place for, you know, if I were homeless, I would come out here, man. At least in the summertime. But yeah, anyway, people messing with animals. Outrageous. That tiger video is gross. The zebra one, it's not the worst, but it still sucks for that guy. That zebra was on a rampage. That's why you don't own them. Just like that lady who owned that chimpanzee that time. Stupid, stupid, stupid people. But whatever. I seen another news story. Some human traffickers from, I think it's from Mexico, coming over on a boat to San Diego, or anyway, they tried to come in the middle of the night on a boat, smuggling 16 people in basically a little riverboat. Not a flat bottom, but it was just small. And anyway, both boats capsized, obviously, like duh. And anyway, 8 people died and 7 people are missing. Swept out by the rip currents, which were like supposedly really bad the past week or so over there. So, you know, I feel awful for the people that are, you know, getting taken over. But it was 8 adults and well, 8 adults that died and 7 adults missing. So, but anyway, I don't, you know, a lot of people like to make assumptions and stuff when it comes to open borders and letting people in, but you know, these human traffickers, they're the ones that take advantage of the system. And these people who are trying to sneak in illegally, probably a lot of them aren't really the best people. I feel like if people are serious and escaping bad situations, then you would go to a border crossing and do it, you know, legally. You'd want to follow the rules so you can make sure your passage is as safe as possible. Because if you take the illegal option and try to get a smuggler or through the cartel, you don't know what you're going to have to do. You don't know what's going to happen. It just seems like people kind of misrepresent. Should the U.S. help people in need? Absolutely. But it's hard to say that we should just let everybody over when we can't necessarily figure out, you know, who's a cartel member, who is taking advantage of women and children, who is, you know, who's kidnapped a little girl pretending to be her dad. Because it happens a lot. These people who break the law from the get-go are not that's not the way to save yourself, you know. But I mean, I understand the compassion and stuff that people have, and I get it. I would love to help everybody. I think people that hurt and prey on the innocents are awful. And if I could figure out a way to stop it, I absolutely would. But, you know, opening up borders and letting everybody in when we have a legal and right way to do it. And I get these people, some of them are running from dangerous situations. They don't know what to do. They're scared. They want their kids out of a bad situation, so then they let strangers take them, or smugglers try to get them into America, and maybe it'll work. But like I said, it's just not the right way to do things. You gotta do it differently. I'm sorry, it's just can't be. Your kid's best chance is with you, and you got to make the right decisions to keep them safe. And how many times have we seen or heard videos of people or kids drowning, trying to swim across a river to cross illegally? They it's just awful. People have to do a better job of protecting their kids, in my opinion. But anyway, I'm sure could be considered controversial, but like I said, I want to help as many people as I can. If I had the means to, and I would, but unfortunately, we can't just trust the good nature of people, because most people are awful. You start letting in everybody, the awful people are going to be the ones to fully take the most advantage of that situation. Just how it works. But anyway, enough on that. Today is the day that John Wick 4 comes out, so I thought I could give a little movie review about John Wick, the first one anyway. I mean, the series as a whole is awesome, but specifically the first one, it really is something amazing. Everybody used to rag on Keanu Reeves as this horrible actor. I remember those days, and the people said, oh, the only good thing he was ever in was Bill and Ted, and that's because he was a kid, and The Matrix. And the first Matrix was good, but the other two sucked, so it didn't really matter anyway. But I always had a soft spot for Keanu Reeves. I liked him in the movie The Replacements, and a couple other films that I've seen him in over the years that I've also enjoyed. But anyway, then John Wick comes out. Now Keanu Reeves is the coolest, most awesome actor ever because of one really good movie. But anyway, I think people just jump on that bandwagon. But that being said, John Wick, the first one, it's a great example of how to do an action movie. And the story, it's a very simple story that had a lot of depth to uncover. So what they did in the first John Wick was first they made an awesome action movie. Awesome action set pieces. And then they built the base story after that, which was great. And then what they did is add little hints and little story beats of a deeper world. Like John Wick pays with these gold coins. Well, where are these gold coins from? And then there's a hotel that all these assassins can go to, but you can't do anything while you're there. And if you do, the hotel comes after you, the Continental. So they set up this huge, deep lore world about this hidden assassin syndicate and this underworld, and they go into some detail but not too much, and it's just perfectly executed. And like I said, the action in it is just flawless. There's so many memorable fight scenes in that movie. And anyway, the new one looks to be good. So hopefully all the other ones are good too. It's not as good as the first one, obviously, but they are good. But I would give the original John Wick for an action flick probably 9 out of 10. It's it's almost perfect. There's a couple of scenes that I don't like, namely one where somebody shoots a pillow. I don't like that scene. And they could have done a better job. John Wick gets caught at one point and escapes. But to me, it kind of weakens his character just a little bit, because he's supposed to be almost perfect, but he relies on a plot convenience to get him out of it. So really, that's the only reason it doesn't get a 10 out of 10. An example of a 10 out of 10 action flick is Mad Max Fury Road. I don't think that there's any scene in that is unnecessary. It is all awesome. So yeah, John Wick is close. It's just not quite there because of those reasons. But when I watch the new one, maybe I'll do a short movie review on that, and then see about doing the other ones at some point, but I don't know. They're all pretty good, like I said. I have no idea what the path is for this. It is intertwined with a biking route, and I surely don't know which way I'm going. I'm backtracking. So there's some signs up here. Let's go check these out. I was hoping to see some more enchantment on this enchanted forest, but I think I've got lost and don't know where I'm going. So yeah, other than there's a couple news stories. The biggest thing going on today is the couple bank collapses. Silicon Valley Bank and 2 other ones. Okay. So what is this, the entrance then? Okay. Well, anyway, a lot of people worried that it could indicate a depression or recession on the way, which, in my opinion, is inevitable. I don't think that these bank failings are necessarily the biggest thing to worry about. It looks like the federal government has basically secured all the deposits, and some people are calling it a bailout, but really they're bailing the people out, not the bank. I get how that can be construed as the same thing, but it's technically not, But anyway, a lot of people worried that this is the breaking point that's going to lead to the depression or a recession worse than 2008, and I don't think we're quite there yet, but I'm not an expert. I've done my research, at least as best as I can, without fully knowing the inner workings of the economy and how it all meshes together. But in my opinion, it's these banks just made some bad decisions and now they're dealing with the consequences of it. And anyway, one thing that is for a fact is that the higher-ups during this collapse, so last Friday when the collapse was announced, they looked into the financials and realized that these higher-ups all took bonuses on Friday, right before the collapse. So potentially really scummy people that we're dealing with, but you know, that's not a shock. Shouldn't be a shock to anybody. But like I said, I don't think it's too much to worry about just yet. And I have a theory that nothing ever exciting happens ever. Everybody talks a lot, but you know, I've never, other than small little things here and there, all these life-altering events that everybody's talking about, never seem to quite happen. You know, but we'll see. Maybe I'll be wrong. I don't know. And this is an enchanted forest because you gotta have some sort of magic to navigate your way through this place, because it is not very well marked and it is thick. I think I'm going the right way, but I don't know. Let's see what else is going on. We got some Harvard or Department of Defense people out here saying that there could be an alien mothership out in the universe. And we would really have no idea, and they may have been probing us for years. Some of these asteroids and stuff that have come close could be alien probes. Like, oh, okay. I too can just say things that are with no possibility of backing them up. But, you know, people can believe it. Like, people believe every single detail about the moon landing. It's like, are you kidding me? At bare minimum, 90% of the footage of that is fake. Maybe we went to the moon and just used fake test footage, but man, if you think all that footage from the moon landing is real, then you've never watched it, because it's the most obvious thing in the world. And it's also a shock to me that, like, when it comes to conspiracy theories, like my friend Jeremy said, the past 3 or 4 big conspiracy theories over the last like 5 or 6 years have all turned out to be true. And now we're finding out the details about them. So to automatically deny a conspiracy theory because Big Daddy government told you, I mean, come on. Gotta be smarter than that. So yeah, at bare minimum, some of the footage of the moon landing is fake. Now, I'm not intelligent enough to know one way or the other whether we went there or not. All I can say is it seems very fishy that in the 6 or 7 years of that administration, and granted it was the Nixon administration who were by definition corrupt, it was during their administration that we went to the moon. Okay, the only time anybody's ever been was the 6 or 7 times, I think, what it was, at 6 times of actual landings and 1 failed attempt. Yeah, okay, so technology sucked back then. Nobody has accounted for any of the, you know, just instantly killing events that could happen, like going through the radiation zone or having what is it, a solar flare or whatever they call it, come through and just instantly kill them. So yeah, we're to believe that under one administration, when we had the most to gain by showing our technological superiority over Russia, that we landed 6 times on the moon and haven't been back since. And the only people who have even gone to space since have barely even went a few miles up. Like, I think that they just had a space landing like 2 days ago or something, and they were like, what, 400 miles up? Which I don't even think is fully out of our atmosphere. If it is, it's just barely. It's still in the orbit zone. You know, like satellites. It's not like satellites are floating in deep space. They're floating around in the orbit zone. Same thing with the International Space Station. So it's not like these things are really far away. And we're to assume in the 60s we went to the moon 5 times, made it, here's the footage, even though it looks fake as shit, here it all is, believe us, sorry Russia, you lose. To anybody who says, oh, you shouldn't doubt that, is just, in my opinion, very closed-minded. Like I said, we could have definitely gone, but I think that there is a lot more evidence that at least makes it questionable than people give credit to. Like, there's some interviews with the astronauts, and it seems a little sketchy. And there's, the footage that is just so obviously fake. And the fact that it was the Nixon administration. It was known to be corrupt. And anyway, I just think that there's more to that story than people give credit to. I just, not a conspiracy theorist, but I do like to think about things, and I think the biggest disservice that you can ever do is just believe what you're told without looking into everything. People act like, oh, well, the scientists and the government wouldn't all lie to us. It's like, well, most of these scientists are paid for through the government. NASA, that's tax funded, or at least it was. And, who's going to come out and they're just going to be called a kook? It's the same thing that's always happened. The government and the mainstream scientists all say one thing, and that is the fact. And if you go counter to that, well, then you're a kook. You're a conspiracy theorist. And one of the biggest conspiracy theorists was Galileo. Everybody, the 99.9% scientific consensus, as well as the government consensus, the church consensus, was that everything orbited around the earth and we are the center. And he dared to question that. And he was labeled a kook and a conspiracy theorist going against proven science. Well, that is real science, everybody. Real science is not believing anything and doing your best to disprove the current understanding norm. It's like a lot of people think like gravity is just a known and for sure thing, and it is. It exists. We can calculate the rate, and we know how it works somewhat, but there is a ton that we do not understand about it. And it would be completely plausible for some kooky scientist to say, hey, this doesn't work like we were taught. There's more to it. and they could come out and it could completely change our understanding of the theory of gravity. So it's like, I don't understand. People just take things at face value and never ever think about it. There are plenty of things that aren't conspiracy theories that people think they are. And, I think, maybe the Fauci thing is one of them. That one's sensitive to a lot of people. But, Fauci did a lot of crazy stuff. And he got a lot of stuff wrong. But, I just think that he was not equipped enough to handle the job at hand, and the information was just so lacking, and it was so hyped up, and and a lot of those decisions, it started out as scientific research, and then it all became political. And I think a lot of decisions were made to suppress outrage than to actually move forward with figuring out the problem, perhaps. Which I understand, but, who's to say one way or the other? Morning. But, I don't think that there's some deep conspiracy. Did a lot of people make money off of vaccines and stuff? Sure. But were the vaccines made to kill 70% of the population? No. That's ridiculous. The vaccines probably did help. And even if it didn't really help, it didn't hurt either. I just think people are unfair on both sides with that one. There was so much misinformation, for sure. And so much people believing the word of one person. And that's on both sides. So that's, in my opinion, an example of a conspiracy theory that just is not there. Pfizer wasn't trying to kill 70% of the population. And the best way to disprove this theory is that the people on the left, Democrats, were very hard on pushing this vaccine. And the majority of the people taking it. So if their plan was to kill 70% of the population, then why on earth would they convince their own people that was the route? They'd be killing the only people that vote for them. So it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, anyway. I think that here's some antlers. Interesting. This one's a little tight in here. I just think that people need to stop taking things that the word of one or two people as it being fact. And people need to wait for a long time before they make a decision on a situation, because day one information is about as useful as nothing really. It's worthless. Day one information on any situation is garbage. So we need to just slow down and not listen to what other people say and come up with our own opinions, and don't question everything. Don't make a conspiracy where there's not. So usually the most common sense answers is the truest, but it doesn't mean that there are no conspiracy theories. So you got to keep your head on a swivel. You got to make sure that you do your own research, come up with your own conclusions. Because at the end of the day, if you just mimic what you hear, what other people tell you, then you're not a real person. You're just a shadow of somebody else, and your opinions aren't your own. You know. Now, that's not to say that somebody can't present information and you're like, okay, this is the best information I see. I got it. But do your due diligence and investigate. Make sure that that's the best information out there. If you're going to have a stance, it's also cool to say, I have no idea. Like, I have no idea if the moon landing happened. I have no idea if COVID is a conspiracy. I have no idea what the solution is to the border crisis. I have no idea. All I have is my opinion on it. And I could be dead wrong on everything. So I do the best with what I have. And at least that means I'm honest to myself. And I'm not taking the opinion of other people as my own. So, you know, I think that's a good way about going about things. Probably ostracizes you from a lot of group functions because, you know, you're not the most social if you aren't a collective group thinker. You know, at least in my opinion. But that's all right too. But I do the best with the information that I have. And it's also fun to think about conspiracies. People get so mad. How could you even think the moon landing is fake? How could you even think Bigfoot's real? Well, why the hell do people watch Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones? None of that shit's possible. Because it's fun to think about. So, I don't know why people get so mad. Well, because it could lead to other people thinking it, or it can lead to dangerous thoughts or outcomes. If thinking the moon landing is fake leads to anything dangerous, you're full of shit. Or Bigfoot or anything like that. Now the COVID one, it depends who you are. You know, like I said, the people who believe things without ever doing their due diligence and their research and they believe this bullshit, then, you know, I'm sorry. You know, Alex Jones says some crazy stuff sometimes, and if people believe him without doing their own research on it, well, then they're dumb. Just like everybody else says dumb things, and people believe them. So to say a conspiracy theorist is dangerous, or a conspiracy theory is dangerous, it's only dangerous to people who don't take the time to look up things themselves or realize, well, this doesn't make any damn sense. So to coddle people is ridiculous. It's like that guy stuck his hand in the tiger cage. Sometimes people are just dumb. And if that's the case, well, you know what? They believe that the COVID vaccine is the mark of the beast, and so be it. You know, whatever. If they don't get it, whatever. You know, just do what you need, do what you think's right. Who cares what other people think? But anyway, sorry if the camera's been shaky. It's freezing out here. It's so cold. My hand is like numb. But this, I wish this trail, maybe just because I'm sitting here ranting about BS I don't know about or understand, I got lost, but this trail is very freaking confusing. Biker's entrance, half-mile loop. the Walker Forest entrance over there. Well, I need to get back to where my car is. So, I don't quite know where that could possibly be. Interesting. Now, this place does look cool if you were to mountain bike, which is often I tell myself that I would love to mountain bike, but at the same time, I would fall and break every bone in my body and then have to crawl my way out of whatever trail I was on. But anyway, but I would love to do it. I just don't think I'm capable, or I'm getting too old, or I don't know. Seems very dangerous, but also seems very fun. But anyway, sorry if today's episode was a bit controversial. I don't know anything, so don't listen to what I gotta say. I'm stupid when it comes to a lot of things. So, you know, it is what it is. But I appreciate y'all. This was another episode of The Outdoor Truth. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. We'll see you again soon. Have a good one.